thinking that he can even think of writing a poem on Kriyapad, that is verb.
Yeah.
On?
Verb. Kriyapad is verb. Verb. Draw a circle of one word around me. Now make the circle into a square. Within the circular square, place multicolored marbles like words. Words of glass, words of truth, transparent words like teardrops or like full stops. Now sketch boundaries around the adjectives. Boundaries of Lakshman, prestige of Ram, and play the cross and not game for as long as you want. And yes, place the adverbs in the center and draw around them an everlasting circle. Just because it's one last poem.
One last poem, जो हमारी तो मनपसंद है ही, एंड जैसे हमारे शास्त्रों में कहा गया है कि जो बोलना न सीखो तो सीखो सब धूल में. अगर बोलना नहीं आता है तो कोई भी प्रोफेशन में आप जो कुछ सीखा है वो धूल में चला जाता है. एंड दिस कम्स फ्रॉम अ मैन हु हैड वेरी हम्बल बिगिनिंग्स. I've also seen him candid when the press and the media cameras are not around. And to have a scope of thought that we've just picked 4. She selected the 4 out of the entire collection. And the 4, they range from anywhere that is something metaphorical, like the Patang, something very deep and poignant, like the Andhkar that we read in the beginning, Achanak, and then geometry and grammar. क्रियापद का महत्व क्या है. तो ऐसा कहा जाता है कि हम कलाकारों की दुनिया में कि 7 जन्मों पहले कभी किसी ने सोने का दान किया हो, इफ स्वर्ण का दान किया हो, तब जाकर कला मिलती है. ओनली देन माँ शारदा, माँ सरस्वती, नटराज, शिवा blesses you with art if you have done that. इनके नेतृत्व के आशीर्वाद को तो हम जानते ही हैं, लेकिन थैंक्स टू भावना जी, we also now know a little more about his artistic side, his side which has an affinity to literature and to the power of the word. ये आखिरी और मेरी सबसे प्रिय है, क्योंकि इसमें उन्होंने मीटर का भी ध्यान रखा है, प्रास का भी ध्यान रखा है, और शायद कवि सम्मेलनों में ऐसा सुनने को मिलता है. छोड़ो, शीर्षक है छोड़ो. काया छोड़ो, माया छोड़ो, वस्तु ने પડછાયા છોડો. કાયા છોડો, માયા છોડો, વસ્તુ અને પડછાયા છોડો. કિલ્લો તોડો, પિંજર તોડો, સપનાઓ સુવાળા છોડો. રાત રઝળતી, રાત રખડતી, રાત બબડતી, સાવ અકેલી. रात रझड़ती, रात रझड़ती, रात रखड़ती, रात बबड़ती, साव अकेली. वाणी छोड़ो, अर्थो छोड़ो, भ्रमणा ना पण पाया तोड़ो. कोई નથી તો ભલે નથી, કોઈ નથી તો ભલે નથી, ને કોઈ છે તો નથી નથી. કોઈ નથી તો ભલે નથી, ને કોઈ છે તો નથી નથી. મથી મથીને છોડ મથામણ, નથી ના પંથને હળવે ઓઢો.
This poem I am not going to read. My friend has offered to read it, and he will tell us why he's reading it also.
Detached from the body. Detached from the body, from affection. Detached from material joys and all its trappings. Demolish the forts. Destroy the cage break free from velvet dreams. Wandering night, wastrel night, blabbering night, lonely night. Desert the words, their implications. Break the foundations of speculations. If no one is with you, walk alone. If someone accompanies, not a problem. Break free from the rigmarole, accept, embrace a new path.
Thank you very much to the Padma Shri, to the Abhinay Shri, and Janta Janardhan. Thank you.
You were wonderful. You're terrific. Absolutely fantastic. गुजराती भी आपने ज़बरदस्त इतनी समझ नहीं आ रही थी फिर भी आपने जिस तरह थोड़ी बहुत समझ आती है मगर जिस तरह आपने रेंडरिंग की मुझे सब बात समझ में आ गई फिर आपने हिंदी में बात की वो बहुत खूबसूरत थी वो भी और फिर जो अंग्रेज़ी में बात की तो यू हैव कमांड ओवर 3 लैंग्वेजेस एंड आई रिस्पेक्ट यू एंड एडमायर यू फॉर दैट नाइस टू मीट यू गुजराती मैं बोल चुका हूँ एक फिल्म है वो फिल्म का यह नाम लेना नहीं चाहूँगा थोड़ी सी सीरियस सभा है ये कॉमेडी है वो टोटल धमाल
That was such a beautiful rendition. Thank you for the most profound, magical words. Anil Kapoor ji, Bhavna ji, and Ojas ji. Now, can I request the scintillating, the vibrant Ruhi Sayal to take over and start the conversation with Bhavna ji and Anil ji.
Namaskar, Mumbai. Namaskar. Welcome, Bhavna ji. Congratulations on your new book. You know, you're an exemplary journalist, critic, author. I mean, second to none in the industries for the last 40 years. Also, not to forget, a very graceful Bharatnatyam dancer. You look beautiful today. A very warm welcome to you. And please accept my apologies. I think the foundation has done a blunder by flying in this girl from Jalandhar all the way to be sitting next to, I mean, it's hard for me to even look at him or to begin conversation. I'm blushing looking at him. This is surreal. This is surreal to be sitting right next to AK Anil Kapoor. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, AK is here today for Bhavna ji's book launch.
You are not allowed to call him AK. Only his friends call him AK.
Oh, sorry, Anil. I'm really sorry, Anil ji. So,
No, it's fine. I think there are a lot of AKs now.
You know, I actually met a lot of his, spoke to a lot of people.
There's Amir Khan, there's Anupam Kher, there's Akshay Kumar.
Yes, so
But I'm the
हम
original
जब-
AK.
You are the original AK.
Yeah, yeah.
और हम जब मिले
Please
तब
keep that in mind, okay? I'm senior to all 3 of them also. Came in this industry before them.
So, I'd like to ask, Anil ji is here to, of course, release Bhavna ji's book. In 2000, it's the same, Anil ji was with Bhavna ji in London to release her second book, right?
No. In 1999,
99.
my book was released in London because it was a London publisher. But when I had the Mumbai release, Anil had released the book. And it was done at a music cafe. And we had taken the book out of a film reel box because at that time films were coming out in reels, you remember? And now everything is digital. And both of us were a little nervous. I, because it was my book release, and Anil Kapoor, because he was not as used to making public statements on public platforms.
I am more nervous today.
क्या कितना झूठ बोल रहा है? In fact, I want to give
Obviously,
full
have
credit.
you asked me to come and release a book. The poems written by the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. It's a huge honor. It's a privilege, you know. and it makes me feel very blessed. You know, you have to understand. So I might pretend I'm very confident, and that's what actors are. You know, you have to wear a mask, no? Am I right or wrong? जैसे आपने कहा अभी
I agree.
कि मैं क्या उनसे कौन से पिल्स ले रहे हैं आप? एंजाइटी पिल्स तो नहीं लेता हूँ थोड़े बहुत विटामिन्स के पिल्स तो मैं ज़रूर लेके आया हूँ आज.
Well, he's nervous, I'm nervous. आज का conversation तो 1-2 का 1-2 का 4, 4-2 का 1 होने वाला है. So please bear with us. So before we talk about your book, Bhavna ji, I'd like to ask about your journey. Had you always dreamt of becoming a journalist, a film journalist? Please tell us about your journey.
Very boring to answer this question because how many times I have answered. I didn't want to be a working woman, forget wanting to be a journalist. I am the youngest in my house, and I thought that if I do any kind of work, I will be pulled up, I'll make mistakes. So I was completely without any ambition. I had no goals, no desire. I had no special author I admired. I had no journalist role model in my life. But when things have to happen to you in your life, things happen. I used to write for the college magazine, and one of the college girls told me that my uncle is bringing out a magazine, you'll write for him. And I said, okay. Then one magazine led to another, and then to the third. And I kept telling myself, and my parents kept thinking that she will leave within few months. They will realize that she has no talent. They were upset that I was a film journalist because they felt, what will the community say? And अच्छे घर की लड़कियां थोड़ी film journalist बनती है, इसके साथ कोई शादी नहीं करेगा. ये सारे डर थे उन लोगों में. But the thing about show business is that nobody can help you to launch yourself here. But if you are good at your job, no matter how hard you try to give it up, it's a one-way street, you can't get out. So I think I got stuck. I thought it'll be 1 year, then 1 decade, but I lasted for 4 decades. And I've known him for 4 decades.
Amazing. Now about your book, Bhavna ji, The Letter to Self. How did it reach your doorstep? Did you take it up on your own? Did you want to do the translation? Or were you called upon because of the stature as an author, known for captivating, capturing the right essence of it?
It was the COVID time, and I didn't want to get into a depression. I was working on a film book, and I started translating his first book, which I had in my bookshelf, which was called Sakshi Bhav, which was translated as Letters to Mother. People think it is letters to his biological mother, but it is letters to Mother Goddess. After that, I felt I had got into the teeth of his writing, and I had a hang and flair for his words, the way it flew. And so I had another book in my bookshelf, which was called Aankha Dhanyache, and I just started translating. I didn't think much about it. As a journalist, I first just do fatafat one draft, finish it in time of deadline, and then you sculpt it and perfect it, and it becomes a book, and then you pitch it, and you find a publisher like Fingerprint. I'm very happy with Fingerprint because they've been with me for my earlier book on Lord Krishna, which was called Keshava, and this is my second book, and I'm sure that we are going to do more books together.
Bhavna ji, this is a great segue to ask you that, Narendra Modi ji has written a note under the heading, From the Heart. He said, I plead you to not equate my expression with my post or position, rather celebrate it for the merit of the thought and the emotion. Do you think in the process of translation, you have maintained the essence of his emotion?
A lot of political journalists have asked me if I was intimidated translating his work. I wasn't, because I'm not a political journalist. I am not intimidated by his post of power. I don't have to deal with him. I don't have to interview him. I don't report about him. I deal with cinema. And the best I know are film actors. So anything else that I'm dealing with, I'm just taking it as a challenge, and I flirt with it and I do it. I don't think too much about it. अगर बहुत ज़्यादा सोचोगे तो कुछ नहीं होता है.
Like you said, बहुत ज़्यादा सोचोगे तो कुछ नहीं होता है. In fact, I was watching an interview of Anil ji. You said कि when you're writing, you just should pen it down and release the book. And in a similar manner, I'd like to ask you a question. There are many movies that you make, you put your heart and soul in it. And often this happens that, the movie is not released. How disheartened do you feel when the movie is not released? Whereas in your case, when you write something, you just decide to release it. So I just want to know a comparison between an actor and a writer. So
I think अनिल की कोई फिल्म नहीं है जो रिलीज नहीं हुई थी.
मैं सोच रहा था.
नहीं हुई है. But
नहीं.
I actually did see an interview of you and Anupam ji where you said there was a movie of yours which was not released. It's a very funny incident that he narrated in that interview where he said he's wearing these tights and he's dancing and he felt that his legs are like looking very skinny, so he didn't want that movie to be released.
That was a film which was released in Telugu, and the film's name was Vamsa Raksham. And and I think it was this was directed by Mr. Bapu Saab, and the tights which I had worn it for that film, and the film was dubbed also in Hindi called Pyar Ka Sindoor. And but the funny incident was that I thought I have got very good legs, and my legs are like one of the like उस दिनों में तो हम दारा सिंह जी और इनके बारे में ही सोचते थे, रुस्तम हिंद वगैरह. तो मैंने समझा कि मेरे भी लेग्स जो हैं या धर्म जी के जो लेग्स थे, they were all so I thought even I am as my legs. And suddenly when I saw the rushes and I saw the film, I felt that what are these two matchsticks? I said such skinny legs I have. So my जो मेरा भ्रम था अपने पैरों के बारे टांगों के बारे में, वो उस फिल्म और उस गाने के बाद टूट गया. So that was the funny incident which I narrated. Your next question.
Yes. So Bhavna ji, of course, you've given many reviews for Anil ji's movies. Now, when you give reviews about Sonam or Harshvardhan, how much of Anil Kapoor do you see in them?
I don't see any connection in the question that you're asking, but I'll answer it in my own way. See, in the olden days when I was not doing film reviews, then I used to be Anil's confidant. If the reviewers were giving him bad review, which was very, very seldom because he's a very, very good actor. So even when the film was bad, Anil Kapoor was always good. So only once in a while, the critics were giving him bad review. So he would tell me कि देख उसने कैसे लिखा, and I will say हाँ उसने ऐसे लिखा करके मैं उसके support system थी. बाद में मैं खुद रिव्यूज़ करने लगी, तो then मैंने अपने आप को डिस्टेंस कर लिया अनिल कपूर से कि भाई तू मेरा दोस्त ज़रूर है, मगर फिल्म के टाइम पे तो मैं क्रिटिक रहूँगी. और जब बच्चे आए तो बच्चे के और प्यार तो है, तो एक दो फिल्म में बच्चों के साथ प्यार से रिव्यू किया, अभी तो बच्चे को भी छोड़ेंगे नहीं. तो अनिल takes it in his stride about himself and about his children also. I am absolutely certain he's never confronted me about it, and that is how equations should be. You can't be pleasing people. He doesn't please me and I don't please him. It is about sharing creativity, sharing space, and sharing a mindset.
Absolutely, because I feel she's absolutely right. I've never really confronted anybody. And मैं आप आज सीक्रेट बता देता हूँ, मैं रिव्यूज़ पढ़ता ही नहीं हूँ. मैं रिव्यूज़ पढ़ता हूँ फिल्म के रिलीज़ के 6 महीने या 1 साल के बाद. So what happens is, so somewhere I feel I've got a feedback, genuine feedback from the audience and the people. Not only from my family, but from my friends and well-wishers, and to certain who are not my friends also. तो एक आइडिया मिल जाता है कि फिल्म को किस तरह पसंद किया गया है और मेरे काम को किस तरह पसंद किया या नहीं पसंद किया, या दे आर टोटली इनडिफरेंट. एक फीलिंग आ जाती है. उसके बाद यू आर टोटली डिटैच्ड. You understand? Then I go back to the reviews and read them. So at that moment, I'm already working in some other film. तो पढ़ो तो फिर वो it doesn't, तारीफ से भी कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है और अगर बुराई की है उससे भी कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. तो कोई बोलते ना ये इतने साल जो longevity का reason क्या है? This is one of the reasons.
Ruhi, I'll just interrupt because Anil is a very hardworking actor, and he is not a fluke actor. He's not a fluke of success. He gives more than 100% to every film, every filmmaker. And he appears most of the time like he's not concentrating because he looks elsewhere. He's not all the time making eye contact with you, but he's absorbing everything. And I have seen him in his interaction with his co-artists and also his directors. And whenever he's pointing out or making a suggestion, it is 99.9% always on the mark. Because he's not thinking about just himself and his persona and how it's going to affect his image, but how is it going to benefit the film. See, being an actor is very, very tough. And it's also being very, very vulnerable because you are in the presence of everybody learning your lines, learning your dance steps, performing. मेरा क्या है, मैं तो अपनी स्टडी में बैठ के ये लेटर्स टू सेल्फ या जो भी किताब लिखती हूँ, I make 9 drafts or 900 drafts, nobody will ever know. When I'm perfect, I go to the publisher. How do you do it?
How do I do it?
Like when you start on a new film, what is your process happening? How are you interacting with people, with your family? Do you withdraw when you're getting into a new character?
Of course, to ask.
With your permission.
No, sure.
Can I answer?
Go ahead, please. Go ahead and
No,
answer.
it depends on film to film, character to character. It depends whom you're working with. Sometimes you work with a filmmaker where, you feel, अरे यार ये इतना मंजावा, filmmaker है, तो कहीं मैं गलतियाँ करूँगा तो वो मुझे संभाल लेगा. And then you surrender yourself. And I've always been a director's actor. So my goal is always to make my director happy. कि जो उस वक्त लीडर है सेट पर और जो उस वक्त, and film is a director's medium, as I always believe in. I know content is very important, writing is very important. All these are very, very important. कि बिना लिखत के कुछ हो नहीं सकता. Because that's where when you have to sit on a blank paper and write, it's very, very tough. And when you say that you do that and all, but it's not easy, I can't even write one word. And when I have to write a letter or something, or something I have to write, I find it very, very tough. So, and obviously there are certain characters, certain roles, you prep, you research, you work, as you said, my eyes are not, I don't look at, because there are 100 tracks running.
मगर अभी मेरे सामने देखकर बात कर सकते हो.
नहीं, मैं देखना चाहता हूँ, but you're looking very beautiful, huh? I love your sari. I like the jewelry. And everybody over here. Today, all ladies who have come here are very, very pretty. Very charming.
Thank you.
And seriously, honestly. And all have been dressed up so elegantly over here. Everybody over here.
It's this foundation called Ehsas Women.
Absolutely, yeah. I was quite taken aback as soon as I entered. I felt safe.
Bhavna ji, of course, you've been in the industry for so many, many years. You're very closely, in touch with the actors. I'd like to ask you that, when you interview them, there are days that, the actor is going through maybe their downs or their ups. So when you go back home, is it very often that you take back their, their moods and you feel overwhelmed? How do you just snap out of it? Or is it that when you're in your writings, it affects your writings?
Nice question, nice observation. See, cinema is definitely the most sensitive medium because it involves sound, image, emotion, music.
Words.
And film artists are the most sensitive people I have ever met. They are recipient of so many emotions in a day, and they have to take out the right emotion at the right time and present it in their projection, which is not easy. And as a person who is meeting them on the sets, at home, sometimes traveling with them, I am sensitive to their moods or what is happening in their hearts. Every time things don't have to be discussed, you absorb it, Sometimes you carry home their fears and anxieties related to a film, related to a relationship. But you can't park every emotion in your heart. So you park it somewhere in your subconscious and it helps you somewhere in your art. So everything is about art eventually. What do you think, AK?
वेरी डीप आंसर यू गिव. इतना मैं डीप हूं नहीं इस वक्त. या
अच्छा, एक मजेदार किस्सा मैं अनिल कपूर का सुनाना चाहती हूँ बिकॉज आई थिंक पीपल विल लव इट. ही मे गेट अ लिटिल एम्बैरेस्ड. तो
आई एम यूज्ड टू गेटिंग एम्बैरेस्ड.
so we became friends in the 80s. Okay. And that time there were no mobile phones, they were just MTNL phones. And then he went to shoot a South film. Was it Vamsabriksham? I don't know. It was the Mani Ratnam film, Pallavi.
पल्लवी अन्ना पल्लवी है.
Pallavi and Pallavi. तो
यहाँ कोई काम नहीं दे रहा था तो मैंने बोला जहाँ से.
before Bose Atin, you can imagine how young he was. Now also he's young. तो he was away for a long time and he said कि मैं वहाँ जहाँ शूट कर रहा हूँ ना, वहाँ सब कॉटन साड़ी तुम पहनती हो ना, ऐसी बहुत मिलती है, मैं तुम्हारे लिए एक साड़ी लेकर आऊँगा. बिकॉज अभी अभी उसने काम करना शुरू किया था, थोड़ा पैसा मिला था बेचारा, उसमें से माँ बहन दोस्त सबके लिए साड़ियाँ लेकर आने वाला था. तो एक दिन फ़ोन किया मुझे और कहा कि यू डोंट रिमेंबर दिस इंसिडेंट ना, और यू रिमेंबर.
साड़ियाँ से काफ़ी चीज़ें याद आ रही हैं.
हाँ, दूसरी गर्लफ्रेंड्स की सब बात याद आ रही है. कोई बात नहीं, वो तो साइड में
एक
रखते
ही
हैं.
गर्लफ्रेंड थी जिससे मैंने शादी की.
वो तो सही है, वो तो सही है. तो उसने मेरे को फ़ोन पे बोला, मैंने कहा अनिल साड़ी अच्छी होनी चाहिए, नहीं तो मैं नहीं पहनूंगी. तो ही सेड इट इज़ दीवार साड़ी. दीवार? So he said दीवार साड़ी it is. So in my heart I thought it will be a brick colored sari with a brick design. Cut to Anil Kapoor arrives in Bombay, gives me the packet. It is haldi yellow. So I am saying इसमें दीवार क्या है? What is the adjective used for दीवार? तू समझी नहीं? दीवार पिक्चर में कैसा है? किसी ने हमको बोल दिया अच्छा है फिल्म, तो भी जब हम फिल्म देखने जाते हैं, क्या कमाल की फिल्म है, क्या कमाल के अमिताभ बच्चन है. ये साड़ी दीवार है, मैंने तेरे को बोला अच्छी है, फिर भी दीवार है. अभी हाउ एम आई सपोज टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस फिल्म एग्जाम्पल, बट हिज लाइफ इज फुल ऑफ दिस.